A very good evening and a warm welcome to this week's first edition of Primetime News. I'm Salima Shimwe-Feleni. As always, we begin with a reminder that if it's your first time joining us, do subscribe, hit the like button, and be sure to click on the notifications bell to stay up to date with the latest happenings locally and internationally. In our lead story tonight, we begin with party matters. There is no serious political formation that can be rescued by a single individual, and SWAPO is no exception. This is according to the SWAPO Party Secretary General, Sophia Shaningwa. Edward Mukungu Mumbu Jr. compiled this report.
Saving the party is a task of a collective. And therefore, the party has been standing on, and the party will stand on, apologize to the founding president and the leadership before the party materials, the party membership card is given to Mr. Yanangolo. The SWAPO party will not have any problem if Mr. Yanangolo reconsiders to publicly apologize. I do not see any problem why the party should refuse. This is what I feel, because this has been the feeling, the goodwill from the political bureau that he should publicly apologize.
Staying with party matters, the SWAPO Regional Coordinator for Xaras, Matthias Mumbala, has called on women in his party to be at the forefront in the party's quest to mobilize members in all its structures and educate them on the party's policies and principles.
Speaking at the start of the SWAPO Party Women Council Conference here on Saturday, which convened to elect new leadership, Mumbala said the women are their mothers and they should care for the party as such while pushing for peace and love because the party is under attack. Mumbala also called on party members to instill and educate what the party has done in the past to their children, adding that many young people have no knowledge of what the party has done and are moving away from the party. Further, the regional coordinator called on the SWAPO leadership at national level to ensure that enough resources are allocated to all party structures, including district, branch, and section levels. I am Sawi Hausiku, reporting for Nampa News.
Moving on to news from neighboring Zimbabwe. 8 prophets belonging to an apostolic faith sect drowned on Saturday during a baptism ceremony in a river in Rushinga, Mashondaland, Central Province, state media reported on Sunday. Xinhua brings us more.
The Herald newspaper said the prophets died while competing to retrieve a holy stick in the deep waters of Mazowe River during a ritual to select a Baptist. It further said the Provincial Development Coordinator for Mashonaland Central Province, Timothy Marengere, had confirmed the incident, saying their bodies had since been retrieved. The paper further noted the group consisted of 10 prophets and only 2 survived.
And on to international news. The G20 summit in Rome ended on Sunday with an adoption of a declaration reaffirming the crucial role of multilateralism and international cooperation in overcoming the global challenges arising from the COVID-19 pandemic. Xinhua once more brings us this story.
The G20 Rome Leaders Declaration pledges to strengthen the common response to the pandemic and pave the way for a global recovery with particular concern for the most vulnerable. The leaders of the world's major economies have pledged to use all available tools to address the consequences of the pandemic, sustain the recovery, and remain vigilant to global challenges such as supply chain disruption. Highlighting the essential role of vaccines in the fight against the pandemic, they vowed to advance efforts to ensure timely, equitable, and universal access to safe, affordable, quality, and effective vaccines, therapeutics, and diagnostics, with particular regard to the needs of low and middle-income countries. Regarding climate change, the leaders remain committed to the Paris Agreement goal to hold the global average temperature increase well below 2 degrees Celsius and to pursue efforts to limit it to 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. This summit was a success, said Italy's Prime Minister Mario Draghi at the closing press conference, adding that cooperation is essential on issues like climate, wealth, and poverty. I am Sawi Hausiku, reporting for Nampa News.
Stand by for your top roundup. In the business and economics segment tonight, we begin with the Ministry of Agriculture, Water and Land Reform, where it was announced that the suspension of importing in-transit movement of live poultry and poultry products from Germany and the Netherlands following an outbreak of highly pathogenic avian influenza. Erasmus Shaliahwe compiled this report.
A media statement issued today by Chief Veterinary Officer Dr. Albertina Shilongo said the suspension is with immediate effect and will last for 21 days, as the incubation period of the disease is 21 days, as set by the World Organization for Animal Health. The banned products include live poultry, birds, uncooked poultry products, live ostriches, and raw ostrich products. Shilongo stressed that the products are being suspended to protect the Namibian poultry industry and avoid local birds and other poultry from being affected. She noted that the consignments containing poultry products packed in their final packaging on or after the date of start of suspension will be rejected and sent back to the country of origin or destroyed at the importer's cost. Shilongo said all previously issued import and in-transit permits are cancelled and recalled with immediate effect. However, cooked poultry meat products for commercial purposes may still be imported into Namibia under the veterinary import permit.
In business news afield, finance ministers from the group of 20 major economies endorsed on Sunday an agreement to revamp international corporation taxation, raising concerns of developing countries.
The approval by G20 world leaders came after the Paris-based Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development announced earlier in October that a major reform for international tax system had been agreed on by 136 countries and jurisdictions, representing more than 90% of global gross domestic product. The agreement to impose a minimum corporate tax rate will subject multinational companies to a minimum 15% tax rate from 2023. The revamped tax rules will apply to multinational companies with revenue above €750, about $900 million. Under the agreement, countries where multinational companies are headquartered will be able to collect the tax deficit if the companies pay a tax rate lower than 15% in its overseas market. The global corporate minimum tax rate will benefit developed countries, where most of the largest multinational companies are headquartered, more than the developing countries. The report released in October said, under the new tax scheme, the EU will increase its corporate income tax revenue by more than €80 billion a year, while the United States will gain €57 billion, with the bulk of the benefits going to developed countries. Some developing countries that are relatively more dependent on corporate taxes have voiced their concerns that the new minimum tax rate might stifle investment in their countries.
The sports news is up next, but first the economics roundup, followed by the weather forecast.
Good evening to you and welcome to Monday's Sports Update on Sport Planet with me, Michael Madimba. We begin with cricket news. Namibia lost their second Super 12 game against Afghanistan by 62 runs on Sunday afternoon at the Sheikh Zayed Stadium in Abu Dhabi at the ongoing T20 World Cup.
Afghanistan won the toss and elected to bat first, posting 160 runs for the loss of 5 wickets, 150 over 5 in their 20 overs. Namibia failed to mount any serious run chase as their partnerships failed to reach the 20-run mark, while Afghanistan pace bowlers produced another lethal display to restrict Namibia to 98 over 9 in their 20 overs. Gerard Erasmus, the Namibian captain, said they knew it was going to be a level up from the previous game as Afghanistan are a test-playing nation and have quality bowling. He added that despite the defeat, he feels Namibia should be competing with the best cricket-playing nations in the world. It was Afghanistan's third match of the tournament, having beaten Scotland by 130 runs before losing heavily against Pakistan on Friday.
In football news, Tottenham announced earlier today they had sacked manager Nuno Espirito Santo after just 4 months in charge, following their 5th defeat in 10 Premier League games. AFP brings us more.
Spurs gave an insipid display in their 3-0 defeat at home by Manchester United on Saturday, with fans booing and chanting, "You don't know what you're doing," at the former Wolverhampton Wanderers boss. Spurs chairman Daniel Levy and managing director of football Fabio Paratici are understood to have met on Sunday to discuss the Portuguese manager's fate. A statement from the club on Monday said Nuno and his coaching staff have been relieved of their duties. Paratici in a statement said he knows how much Nuno and his coaching staff wanted to succeed and he regrets that they had to take this decision. Spurs said a further coaching update will follow in due course.
Your sports roundup is up next. With that, we've come to the end of tonight's bulletin. Thank you for tuning in. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe, like, share, and click on the notifications bell to stay abreast with the latest happenings locally and internationally. Do add your comments as well in the comment section. Catch us on the morrow for another edition of Primetime News. From myself, Michael Madimba, and the entire production crew, it's good night.